Welcome to episode number 12 of the WWIM podcast. That's WWIM podcast, Women Who Inspire Me. Our guest today is the beautiful, smart, fun, funny, brave, persevering, surviving, just awesome friend, Kerri Paquette. Welcome to the show.
Don't stop there. Keep it going. I mean, my fiance doesn't even talk to me like that.
Oh, really? Well.
I'm just kidding. I mean, he's pretty nice.
Yeah.
That was good.
So, Kerri, fellow masshole, grew up in Massachusetts, Millbury, correct?
Woolies.
What was that like?
Millbury Woolies.
Yeah.
Terrible and wonderful.
Yeah.
All in the same. I mean, I liked it until about 6th grade.
Okay.
So
well,
I guess it started early. The first few grades were all right. But it was good. I liked it. Small town.
Yeah.
I knew everybody in my grade. You know, I graduated with like 100 kids. So
pretty white, I'm guessing.
very white.
Yes.
Yeah. That's why I'm very glad I moved to Boston
Right?
in my adulthood, because I was like, oh, there's other races out there.
When I moved to Waltham, my brain was like, I like this more. Like,
Yeah.
your mind.
I
like,
learned
appreciates
so
this,
much.
right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like it's nice to see people that are not just like you.
Yeah.
Every single day. And now I work in like a melting pot where
Right.
I am the minority, and I love that.
Right.
But yeah, Millbury's very white, cow town, lots of horses and cows and wildlife, I guess. And a lot of mean kids. I was bullied
I
growing
was going to say, in 6th grade, that's when you met them?
there. I think it was like the boys have a crush on you, so they
they're
want to
mean.
beat you
the
up.
Freudian reaction formation.
I just, I'm tall, so I grew, and I have been tall and big, I
Right.
guess, since like 6th grade. I hit like a growth spurt, and I was the Jolly Green Giant. I was the purple people eater. I was like, it depends on what color I was wearing that day, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, and then.
Things have actually changed. They don't really allow that stuff to happen as much in schools.
Kidding.
Of course it still does. Kids still make fun of each other, but like it's really like, I think back in the day there was more like, oh, well, that's just kids being kids, which some of it is, but from what you're saying, some of it's downright cruel, and I think schools nowadays have been better at like trying to squelch that. Be like, we don't have that at this school.
I always think about like social media.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how,
thank God.
Especially like in my college days. Thank God
Right.
there's like no pictures. Like you'll find like a random like actual photograph.
Right.
But like you're not seeing me on God knows where from college days. It was crazy. But yeah, I don't know how kids deal with social media at all these days. I don't know. So glad it wasn't around.
Different world.
Yeah. We had like dial up, If someone was on the phone, we weren't getting on AOL. You know what I mean? So like, and we were like one of the only families that like had a computer in like, the 90s. So yeah.
What did you have? Do you remember what kind it was?
I have an HP. No, I have no idea. It was real big though. I know that.
You're like 9 years younger than me, I think. So
I'm turning 40.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah.
What does that feel like?
I feel blessed that I made it this far,
Right?
honestly.
Yeah.
Like because I'm trying to change my mindset, because I'm like,
Right.
I remember being like 18 and thinking like 30 was so old. I was like, oh my God, like, oh, look at that. And now I'm like, I am turning 40, and I feel like my back hurts more, and like, I'm feeling like that type of stuff. But I feel like not a day over like I was when I was 18. Like mentally, I feel
right.
18.
Well,
still, you know what I mean?
a lot of that is you're taking better care of yourself.
Well, that's
eating
true.
better, exercising more regularly, that kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I do. Like, I'm trying to change, because at first I was like 40, and I was like so upset about it. And I'm like, you know what? I think about all my loved ones and friends that haven't made it this far, and I'm like, I'm blessed to be getting another birthday in, So.
Which we will get to why that is. So you're in Millbury. People are being mean to you. You're in Millbury High.
Yeah.
Are you playing sports for the high school?
So I started playing soccer when I was like 3. Whoa. I was like able to walk, and I was playing like soccer. I loved it. I don't know. My dad got me into it, and he grew up with like baseball. That was like the only sport that like schools had. He was born in 47, so that was like the big sport. And like he explained it to me. It's like a cheap sport. You need like
sneakers.
Yeah. A bat, a ball, and like a yard, basically. So. He got me into it, and then he founded like the Millbury Soccer Club. so like travel soccer and like, so yeah, started when I was like 3 or 4, played in town, and then I started playing with the boys. I started like U8, I think.
Trendsetter.
Yeah, the only girl on the boys team. So just another thing to make fun of me about, right? But yeah, so yeah, playing soccer. I played in high school. I started on the varsity team when I was in 8th grade because we were a junior, senior high school. Yeah, big soccer person.
How did you guys do? We
were awful. Oh my god. I remember like my senior year, we had like a couple school, like Tantasco, they weren't very good, so we would tie, or every now and then we'd beat them. But like, yeah, we'd mostly get creamed. So, like, we had like Oxford High School. They beat us earlier my senior year, probably like 6-0. And then we tied them. It was the last game of the season. You would have thought we won
the World Series.
The World Cup. You know, I was out there, like, we were all like, yeah, it was crazy. We tied like 2-2. Just to give you like, so I played sweeper, which is like the last defensive person back. And I was the lead scorer. Okay.
Whoa.
Like, we were terrible. I would take every free kick, corner kick, any type of anything. Yeah. So we weren't very good.
And did you play in college too?
I did.
Keene State?
Graduated.
Correct?
Yep. Graduated from Millbury. I chose my college based on soccer. I didn't want to have to excel academically, so I was like, D3 is where it's at. I'm gonna pick a solid D3 school. And Keene had just dropped from D2 down to D3. Okay.
So they were
competitive. Yeah. And actually, we still hold a lot of like their school records. Like,
wow,
the most winningest. How do you say that?
Yeah, winningest.
Yeah, season. We went to the NCAA's 2 out of my 4 years. We went to the Sweet 16 one year. Yeah. So we were good. I loved it.
Now, did you like that's with that though? With success comes more pressure. Did you like that?
Yeah,
yes.
I did. Yeah. So my freshman year, I was like first time being away from home.
Right.
I thought I was like just so ready. I knew everything. I was like, I can't wait to move to school. And then I get there and I'm like, I want to go home. Like immediately. I mean, it wasn't like going that great. There was a lot of alcohol. So I was like, oh, this is fun. Like I'm away from home for the first time. And so we had like a 72-hour rule. Actually, was it 48? I think it was 72 hours where you couldn't drink before games.
Okay.
So, and I wasn't starting. I wasn't doing so great. I thought I was like the king shit.
Right,
when I left Millbury. I was like, I'm going to walk on this team and it's going to be fine. So I went to like Hell Week, what they call it. You go like a week before everybody moves in and you have triple sessions of soccer in the sweltering heat. And we had to run like 3 miles, and I couldn't run 3 miles. I was dead. I was like, oh my God. So I barely made it, but I made it. And my freshman year just barely played. They'd throw me in, and I would just screw up, and, they'd score, and they'd be like, all right, take her out, And then my sophomore year, someone got hurt, and they're like, who can we throw in center mid? And they're like, throw in Paquette. So there I was, and like I killed it. So that was it. I started at like probably... I think it was like the 4th game in, and we played like Williams College where like, they were scary. They were like humongous, like German women. I was like, oh my God, but we were competitive with them. So that's like when I started, and it was good.
Nice.
Yeah.
And enjoyed your time at Keene State?
I did. I struggled my senior year. I tore my ACL playing Plymouth State. Oof. And I was just that was it. I was like,
worst pain ever at that time in your life?
Actually, I had an abscessed tooth.
Okay, so that was up there.
Yeah, that was the abscessed tooth. Definitely, like they had to like extract
we
it.
We should make a list of the ailments we've had and like the numbers we assign that
I've had
pain.
the weirdest things ever. Like I had an abscess in my ear and an abscessed tooth. The tooth thing was like, oh my God, it was crazy. That was my senior year. But I have a high pain threshold.
Yes, we'll get to, yes.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, it's just a cavity, and then it slowly like I couldn't close my mouth anymore, and then I couldn't chew, and then all of a sudden my mouth was like it was swollen, and my parents were like, why'd you wait? Now it's Sunday where it's an emergency. Now I understand the finance.
You're right. That the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost.
Yeah, it was a mess. But yeah, no, the ACL tear was pretty bad though, and it was just like right
away, like when it happened, you knew something. Yeah,
and
something.
The video, like they,
there's a video of it.
Oh yeah, they taped the games. So. Yeah, I like stepped and like my knee went backward.
I want to see if I can find this. We can superimpose it as you're talking about it.
Yeah, no, it was nasty. So, and I knew like immediately. I was like, your knee's not supposed to.
I can't walk anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Well, dumb. I tried to get up and run because like I saved the ball, and then the girl got it because I fell, and I got up, and they said that I probably like just
made it worse. Yeah. Well, it's like Greg Campbell and the Bruins played on a broken leg. He finished his shift with a broken leg.
Oh yeah, I could see it. Like, because at that moment, like, I mean, they're professional athletes.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. But in my head, I was
right.
professional.
You're just,
I'm like,
right. Yeah.
Like I'm like, this is all I have to live for. I had no idea what life was about. I was like 22 years old. I was like, but this is it. After school, after college, what do I?
So what was that surgery? Like, what was that?
Yeah. I had like an ACL. They took a piece of my hamstring, which is cool, and then they made me a new ACL. And then
And you were able to continue to play after college?
Yeah, it took a long while, but yeah, I did. It was like I didn't do any of the things that they told you to do. They're like, I did the physical therapy, but they're like, you need to do these exercises at home, and I'm like, sure, and then
didn't do it.
Yeah. I think at that point, that's when like my relationship with alcohol really grew into a love affair. Toward love
really?
Affair.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I mean, they gave you like a machine to put your like leg in to move it.
And it moved it automatically.
Yeah. And I would just sit there and have like my 12-pack of Miller Lights. And
drink
like,
as it moved.
Yeah, just drink.
Wow.
Like, yeah,
so that's your senior year of college?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I barely made it out of my senior year. It was, yes.
That was my sophomore year is the one I barely made it out of, but I got out.
I wish it, like, I don't know if I wish. Yeah, I wish it happened earlier for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it took me a long time to get to where I am now.
Right. Well, I mean, sometimes you need more than one lesson to get the message, right?
I found every lesson.
Well, speaking of, let's go to major life lesson for you. You're a soccer player. You have an injury during a game, and you brush it off.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
how old were you at this point?
So
the story I know.
Yeah,
the story.
Yeah. So I was 22 at this point.
So you had just graduated, or
I was. Yeah, when I had the knee surgery, that's when I graduated, and then when I was 23 is when when Erin, my best friend from growing up, she had leukemia, and she passed away. I was with her. She got diagnosed when we were 18, but I I did not get it. Like I was just like she had been fine. She had a bone marrow transplant. She was okay.
Right.
And then like we found out that the bone marrow transplant was failing, and she got diagnosed again with like acute myeloid leukemia, which is worse than the chronic myeloid. So we lost her in 2006, and actually it's her birthday on Wednesday. I'm going out with my girlfriends tonight to celebrate her birthday still. And I was with her, and I think that also catapulted me into drinking a little bit more.
Okay,
but what really, really sent me was just a couple years after losing Erin. I found a lump in my right breast, and I didn't really find it. It was like shown to me through soccer. I was playing soccer in Northborough at Teamworks, and my coworker elbowed me. He thought he was being funny, and he like elbowed me super hard. He's kind of a jerk, this guy, but I felt this lump, and I'm like, that's weird. Like, wouldn't bruise that fast. I've had bumps and bruises throughout my entire life, obviously playing soccer, and then I didn't really think much of it. I just kind of kept living my life. That was in October of 2008. And then I want to say in like March is when I was like showering, and I could see the lump I want to say hanging out because that makes it sound crazy, but like you could see like a physical lump, and I'm like, all right, this isn't just going away. I should probably.
So what was the time between when you saw the lump and when
it was October of 2008?
Yeah.
Yep. And then
in the same month, or
March of 2009.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah. So I waited like a long time, but yeah, just to give you like, I mean, I probably would have waited anyway, but my grandmother at that time also had gotten diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer in December. So that kind of like, I mean, that's still 2 months that I could have said something October to December, but then after that it was just laser focused on her. So eventually we went on a cruise to celebrate my grandmother's life in April, and I had made an appointment with my PCP like the week before we went on the cruise, and he was like, something isn't right here. So we got back from the cruise, and I decided to tell my mom finally on the cruise. Like, we were like home for a day, and I was like, I have an appointment tomorrow for like a biopsy and all that. And she's like, okay, why didn't you tell me earlier? She was pissed at me, but yeah, so yeah, I put off this doctor's appointment for a long time. I don't think, I mean, it would have helped. I mean, I knew something. I knew it was not right.
Yeah.
You know, I know my body well enough where I was like, yeah, this isn't normal for me.
Right.
So,
but I'll just put it off.
It'll go.
I have other things to worry about.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so the outcome of that, as you know, was I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer at 25. So yeah, right before I was, because when I tell people that I went through treatment from like when I was 25 to when I was 27, they're like, what? And I'm like, well, it was right before I turned 26. So it was like really a year. But
you were 25.
Yeah, but I was 25, yes, nonetheless. And yeah, that was a life changer.
Diagnosed at UMass?
At UMass,
Yes.
Yep. So, yeah, that was crazy.
And what was so when they said, this is what we found, then they tell you right away, this is what we're going to do, this is the plan, or? Yeah,
they really like compared to what other people experience. I mean, granted, everybody's experience is a little bit different. They were like really rushing with me. I feel like I got a phone call at home at like 10 o'clock at night the next day after the biopsy. And they were like, yes, we found malignant cells. You're going to meet your team. This was like on a Tuesday night. I met like my cancer team.
Oh my God.
On Thursday of that week. And back then, this drug called Herceptin was like not standard of care. It was in clinical trials, but they asked if I would be in a clinical trial for it. Now it's standard of care.
Okay.
You know, everybody with HER2 positive breast cancer gets this treatment. So, but yeah, I was like, yep, whatever will help other people. So, yeah.
Were you working at UMass when that happened? Okay, yeah.
I was working in
That's weird. That's gonna be weird, right?
So weird. It was actually it was good and it was bad. I was working in like the environmental health and safety department. I started there in May 2007 and I got diagnosed in April of 2009. And yeah, so I actually went for treatment at Memorial, which is down the street, but I had like my radiation in the basement and then I would go to work.
That is crazy.
Yeah. Just zap me. And then, all right, now I'm working 8 to 5. I would go in at 7 a.m. have my radiation, and then I'm like in a Tyvek suit pouring off chemical waste for the hospital, 8 to 5 after that. So.
Did you work throughout treatment?
I barely. God. So every now and then I would take off. Like I would have treatment on a Thursday because they would have to give me like a shot on the next day. And then eventually I would have it on a Friday because my mom could give me the shot. My mom was a nurse. Yeah. So I was lucky in that respect because every time I called out on a Friday, it went on my record at UMass. I don't want to sit here and talk shit about UMass.
But why wouldn't they be like, okay, you're diagnosed, so we're gonna like lighten up. We're gonna do A, B, and C to like make your like workload easier. Like that didn't occur to them.
Oh, there's so much I could unpack here. I mean, we could do a whole podcast about how I wish I sued UMass for like several. I mean, I was wearing a respirator that didn't fit me while I was pouring off chemical waste, and then I got breast cancer.
Right.
Statute of limitations is way over, but I've thought about that since. I'm like,
have they done studies on anything like
well, that was another. So I feel like they pushed me out because I was asked. I'm like, okay, you never do like baseline blood tests, like I'm pouring off like nasty chemicals, and then come to find out like my respirator didn't fit me the whole time, and I'm wearing like a Tyvek suit, a full face respirator, but I mean, good. I'm glad I landed where I landed and everything worked out, but
and so you were in treatment for over a year.
So the Herceptin clinical trial added, like it was from May of 2009 to May of 2010. That was like a whole year of that treatment every 3 weeks. And then the chemo I got the Red Devil. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Oh my God. Yeah, Google it.
It's colored red?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I got it's like a certain chemo regimen that they give, but it was TAC and the A is like, not good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Red Devil.
A lot worse than THC.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, I would prefer THC any day.
They should put that with it.
Yeah,
when you get chemo.
I mean, now they should.
Right?
Now that it's legal. I mean, I don't think it was legal back then. Although,
so is it the Red Devil because it's nasty? Because it's literally poison, right?
It's poison. Yeah, but the red. I mean, it causes like long term. Like my eyebrows. These are painted on because my eyebrows like never grew back. They're like little.
Those are the last to fall out for me too. My eyebrows are the last to fall out and the first to grow back.
Oh really? Yeah. No, my eyebrows. were the last of, like, I was like completely bald and that, like, my eyelashes, everything. That was the last thing. It was like they were hanging on, and then you know the drill.
Yeah, I do.
But yeah, it was crazy.
So it was just chemo for you, or radiation as well?
Man.
You had everything.
I had everything. Yeah. So I did. So like, I want to say it was like a month of Herceptin, so they could see how that affected my tumor.
Yeah.
And then I was on 3 or 4. Well, from June till October, every three weeks, I was supposed to have 8 chemos. And I had 6.
Okay.
I was just.
And that inpatient? Were you in the hospital?
Nope. So
okay.
Outpatient. So every Thursday I went to UMass Memorial. It was an all-day affair from like 8 to 5. Oof. I'd be there. Because the Red Devil had to be an extra slow drip because it was just so.
Because it would wreck your veins if they put it in
and I didn't
fast,
have a port.
But I didn't get one either.
I have like a brown, like the vein that they always. Yeah, I'm like I have vein rot still. I don't know if that's an actual term, but.
And now, were you like me when I was diagnosed? I was like, good, they know what it is, so they can deal with it. I'm going to be fine. Like that was I don't know why. That's the route I went. Like, what was it? Were you like, holy shit, I have cancer? What the?
I lost it, and I remember the first day. This is so bad. Like I group texted like 80 friends because like back then
something I couldn't do.
Yeah, right. No kidding. Yeah,
1992.
Yeah, no, cause like I don't like these people. It's the funniest thing to me. Like in hindsight, is like most of these people didn't even know I had a doctor's appointment. They didn't even, and I'm just like, I have breast cancer. They're like, what the heck?
Well, because it's weird. Like
I was just
like
shocked.
You don't think also to tell everyone. Oh, by the way, because you don't want to worry them. Because you don't want to worry them because you don't know what it's going to be.
Right.
But then, so they're like, what the hell?
Yeah, they're like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Like, what? First of all, what? You were sick? And right. Well, no. And I think that was like the biggest mind game for me.
Because they probably just seen you.
Yeah. I wasn't sick. I wasn't sick until I got chemo. I was fine.
Chemo makes you sick.
Yeah. So it was like, it was so bizarre. Like I was, but I never thought to like question anything that whatever they told me, I was like, I'm doing it. Yes, exactly. I'm on. Yep, on your terms.
And I think part of that was back then. We just didn't have the mentality to be like, I better research what these people are telling me because I don't know. In 1992, I just couldn't do that.
Oh, I didn't even, right?
Because they were. I do know my team of oncology doctors who were awesome at UMass. We're knocking UMass, but like anything, some people have good experiences, some people have bad. They took my case to Dana-Farber and said, "This is what this guy has.
No, you had some
what
weird
would you
shit.
do? What would you do?" And Dana-Farber said, "We'd do the same thing you do." So just knowing that to me, it was like, okay, well, that's another person that would be doing this. So, but I couldn't Google look up anything.
Yeah, you would have been like in the library.
And I'm sure you were 25, so you wouldn't think, oh, I better double check what's been going on. I didn't want to
Google. Now I Google everything. But back then I was like, I don't want to know.
Right.
I did not want to. They told me like I would feel sick. I was going to lose my hair.
Yeah.
Like they gave me all the rundown. And I'm like, okay. I feel like sometimes if you do know too much,
it'll put it in your head. That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
They gave me pages and pages of side effects. I was like, oh, whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Yeah. I'm going to take it as it comes, and like every time was a little bit different. But yeah, I mean, like the first time I remember because my grandmother at this point was in not hospice yet, but palliative care,
looking
but
bad.
at my mom's nursing home. So I went up to visit her. And I was like, this is not bad at all. I mean, it was like 3 hours after I received the treatment. So I was like, this is fine. Like, I can do this. And then, the next day, it was obviously it's a cumulative thing, right? It's not like the first time was the easiest, obviously. The last time, I couldn't even, I was like, I should just live in the bathroom. It's either I'm going to poop or I'm going to puke.
Well, I had a double explosion one night. That was fun.
Great.
My poor mom had to clean up.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was the best thing is like, I had never lived, some late bloomer. I was 25 years old, and I signed a lease to a new apartment, to my first apartment, the day before I found out that I had cancer.
Oh, my God.
I was going to move in May 1st, and my mom's like, you're not moving in now.
Okay.
Like, sorry.
Yeah.
And I was like, the hell I'm not.
And you still did?
I still did. My poor boyfriend at the time. Oh, man. Dave Raymond, if you're listening.
Out by Boston or?
No, it was in
Millbury.
Grafton.
In Grafton. So you weren't that far away, but still.
Yeah. But
where were you thinking?
I don't know. I was like.
Because you don't want to like you
Well,
maybe
yeah,
thought you were more of a burden if you did
I
that?
felt
or,
like a burden. Yeah. And I feel like now I feel so bad
So-
for Dave. He was
yeah.
so good to me. He, he would shave my head. I would get like
Oh.
these weird like tendrils of hair, But yeah, so he was good to me.
Yeah,
He did the best he could. We were young,
Yeah, well, when I was 18 and went through most of my treatment the summer before my freshman year, and my oncology team and my parents were like, "We think you should take the first semester off and recover it." Which, looking back, yeah, that would have been smart to do. But 18-year-old Dave wasn't having it. 18-year-old Dave was going to college when he wanted to go to college. I mean, you're just it's young. You're young.
Yeah, just like I was like, I want to work through it. Well, I'm glad I worked as much as I did. I mean, granted, the job I was doing was grueling.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking like I'm in a Tyvek suit. I mean,
Yeah,
not
you don't
every
do an
single
easy
day,
job.
but more often than not, I'm pouring off chemicals. I'm sweating. I can smell the chemo drugs.
Oh,
in
like
my
sweating
sweat.
through you,
And I'm
sweating
not
through
kidding.
you,
I
yeah.
would have a pool.
Did you
of
taste
sweat
them?
in the-
I tasted
Oh
them.
yeah,
Yeah. Oh.
yeah. The best was for me was when I had like I think I had like a PET scan or something, and they had put like radioactive dye in, and
Yeah.
I was setting off there's like a meter at the loading dock, so when
You're
you walk
radioactive.
through, yeah, and I'm like, we have waste, so I'm thinking like someone mixed radioactive waste in here, so we tried like the cart going
Yeah.
through, and every time
No,
I'm
it
bringing
was
it
you.
through, so I'm taking it waste bags off, and I'm like, what? And then I go through with the cart, I'm like, the cart's radioactive. I'm like, oh, it's me. Yeah, it was me. So yeah, that was always fun. Or like you have to like clean the toilet every time you use that. Fell through the. Yeah, that never happened. They're like, did they tell you that when you had chemo? Like
No.
you're supposed to, yeah,
Clean the toilet,
They
no.
might not have known.
They put me in a forced triple dorm room with two other dudes when I still had one round of chemo to go.
What?
Like, yeah, why didn't I not get my own room? Like, I don't.
That is crazy.
Right, no
but I
kidding.
can't imagine going to school and like I thought that work was bad enough, but never mind like going to school and like having to live with people.
Yeah,
No.
I would come back, like, especially like that first month. I would come back from class and just sleep until like dinner time.
Yeah.
Like, I was so exhausted just from walking to class.
Right.
But I did it. I got through. We got
Yeah,
through.
yeah.
And you got through as well. I mean,
I did. I had pneumonia. I don't know if I ever told
oh my
you that
god!
story. Did
While
I?
you were in treatment.
Yeah. So I had 2 weddings, 2 weekends in a row, and I was like, well, I'm gonna live it up on these 2 weekends, and yeah, I lived it up a little too much, I'd say, because like I went in to get chemo. I did not. Actually, no, I didn't go in to get chemo. It was like a few days before my appointment, and I was like, just woke up and I felt like someone was sitting on my chest. I was like literally like I could not breathe. I'm like, okay, what is going on? So yeah, my mom came at like 6 o'clock in the morning and we went to the ER and yeah, I had pneumonia. I'm like, oh, I basically gave that to myself because I was like up until like 3 o'clock in the morning and
Oof.
just a mess. So I had to like postpone chemo. But yeah, that was an interesting thing.
As you're going through treatment, they're telling you, "Yep, it's working." That get you like encouraged and like, all right, see the light at the end of the tunnel type of thing.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully my tumors reacted very well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think there was very much left towards the end, but like I did have a mastectomy as well. And that's like the one place where I wish I just listened to my gut and I let them kind of talk me into a specific surgery. So I had wanted a bilateral mastectomy.
Right.
And they're like, it's overkill. You only have it in one boob. And I'm
Yeah,
like, okay, like, but I don't want to give it. I'm 26.
Right,
like,
right.
I want to reduce,
Right,
you know, this,
right.
the possibilities of this happening again,
yeah.
you know? So, but yeah, they kind of, you know, they talked me out of it.
Right.
They said I was not really a candidate for just a lumpectomy just because of how, like, I had like multiple little tumors.
Right.
But they were like throughout my breast. So I was like, all right, well, just take the whole thing. And then I had like all my lymph nodes removed basically from my right arm. I think 26 were taken.
This is during treatment, after treatment, like where was the surgery?
3 weeks after I finished chemo. Yeah. So October of 2009. Wow. That was like the longest time I was out of work. I took a medical leave finally at that point.
Hey.
Yeah. So, I had like surgical drains and yeah, that wasn't the most fun, but I feel like having the high pain threshold kind of helped me out. Cause you know, I went back to work a little bit early cause I was like, okay, I'm bored. Like I want to get back, and they made me jump through hoops. I had to go through like 5 medical evaluations, and I'm like, oh my God. So anyway, yeah, I got to go back, but then like a year later I had a weird lump in my left breast. It ended up just being like some benign.
But that must have been terrifying.
Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, now I'm going to have the left breast removed. And yes. And I left UMass. I got the job at the Broad. So I started interviewing in like May of 2010 for the
so
job.
You've been there a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started interviewing that, and then like they didn't hire me until October. And I was due to have reconstruction that October. So I was like, all right, well, so I had nothing for a year at that point. And I'm like, well, I might as well put it off another year. So that following 2011 is when I had the left prophylactic mastectomy and a reconstruction. So I've been somewhat whole. I mean, I've had like 15
since
surgeries.
Like you've had
I've had a lot of surgery
right?
since. Yeah. But again, like if I had just had the surgery I wanted, most likely I wouldn't have had 20 surgery.
Which remind our listeners, you're in charge of your body.
Yeah.
Research all the options. Do
ask
the one
questions.
that you
It's
listen
fine.
to your gut. Ask questions. Every time I go to the doctor, I write down. Like
I'm so much better about that now. I was not that way. That's why, thank God, I had my mom, because she would be and she was a nurse.
Get a good advocate. That's another.
Right. Yes, advocate for yourself, and if you don't,
rest in peace, Karen. By the way, she was awesome.
I know, she really was. I miss her so much. She's crazy. Yeah, she was crazy. She had no problem just speaking her mind.
Yeah.
All right, like let's figure this out, and so I know. Now I'm kind of like, I feel like a ship without a sail. I'm like, I don't know. Someone needs to tell me what to do. My sister is
you have a great relationship with Megan, right?
Yeah, My sister is like, she's the most. She knows everything. I call her Doogie Howser. I'm not kidding. She is so smart. She's a nurse. She's just the smartest person ever. Yeah. So
it's good to have good people in your corner.
Yeah, for sure. And I have the best. So yeah.
So when was your last surgery for your cancer?
I was trying to figure this out because I was like, how old are my implants? I feel like they're probably nearing like their end of life cycle. But are they supposed
to take those out eventually?
I think it's every 10.
Yeah,
I used to have like a card that said like, this breast implant is this and it needs to be removed on this date. But then I had like 3 more surgeries. So I was like, well, that went out the window. So I ended up, I think, that I had like they took out my surgical drains too early, and I ended up getting a staph infection.
You had a bunch of complications.
Yeah. So I think my last surgery was in 2015.
Yes. Okay.
So I'm.
And we met. So when Kerri and I met, speaking for a cancer awareness nonprofit, and their message was all about early detection, and they loved our stories because both of us ignored symptoms. Well, me with my Crohn's, I ignored symptoms for years till finally I went to the doctor, and even then I didn't tell him the whole story. So was that 2013? I think I want to say. Does that make sense?
I think it was 2011.
Okay, because that's when I started.
Oh, really?
My first talk for them was October of 2011.
Okay, maybe it was after that. I just remember it was. I don't think it. I don't know, because I was actually thinking about my first talk with them, and it was at that Ecotarium.
Yeah, I thought that was 2013.
Maybe you're right.
Because I just looked at a picture of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so that was it. But I just remember
so weird to do it.
They didn't warm me up. I had no idea what I was getting into. They're like, "Oh, just come. We're hosting an event, and you can tell your story." I didn't realize there was like a script, so I'm telling them like, chemo's awful. I'm like just going into like my
this organization, which they've actually changed their name since. We won't name them. They're great. The message was great. They don't do talks like when we did them that anymore, which is fine. They've changed their format. They've changed who they're targeting, which is whatever. They're going to do what they're going to do. But when we were volunteering for this organization, we go to mostly schools though, right? But we met at and so they didn't tell you what it was going to be. So they didn't want us to actually talk about the treatment. They wanted us to talk about the important part of getting diagnosed early, so that we didn't really go into the horrors of chemo because they didn't want that. To get scared.
And I would talk about Erin,
but I think
my best friend that passed away because I was like, well, it all started back in no tales it's so funny.
Which it makes sense, but we like to tell the whole. I like to tell the whole story. Which I don't always get to do when I share my story. Is that I survived cancer, but then the drinking years after, where
Yeah.
like that's still me dealing with cancer,
Right.
in some weird form,
Yeah.
right? Even
Right.
though
Well,
I
it's
didn't
traumatic.
have the physical cancer inside me, it was my brain. Yeah,
Right.
it is trauma.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's definitely trauma. Yeah. Definitely. I feel like I know all about that. Like, I tried every way to drink.
Oh, yes.
Very excited. I tried every way to drink.
You never put alcohol up your butt, did you? People do that, and you know that?
Boof it?
They put it up their butt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's called
there's a
boof
term.
it.
That's what it's
Boof- yeah,
called. Did you
boof
do
it.
that?
Yeah. No.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
No, I didn't mean tried every. I mean, I tried. I was
Well,
like,
that's one way, and you've said every way.
no. I guess I tried to boof it. And
Okay.
snort it.
Snort. People do that too.
Alcohol.
Well, people put it up their butt because then you pass a breathalyzer, right?
Oh my god. Okay. All right. I never thought about
Yeah.
that. Well, maybe I wouldn't have got one of my DUIs had I just boofed.
You've had 2 DUIs.
Yeah.
You want to share? You want to share those stories?
One was sure.
Okay.
Okay. Remember the Lucky Dog?
Yes.
I loved that.
In Worcester.
Yes.
Yes.
Went to some live music, and I decided to drink. I want to say it was like a solid 5 or 6 Goldschlager shots.
my God.
The word like Goldschlager.
With actual pieces of gold in it.
Yeah, I used to joke like when I die, I'm going to donate my liver to one of my friends
Yeah.
because it was going to be made of gold because I drank so much Goldschlager.
God.
But yeah, and then I drove. I wanted to go home.
Just didn't
so
think of.
no.
Thought you were fine.
Well, so yeah, I'm not real proud of that aspect. Was I drove a lot
Yeah.
when I was
Oh,
drunk.
well.
Yeah, I talk about this with my dad all the time. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so glad I never hurt anybody.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I never got hurt.
Yeah.
But I'm more happy that like my drinking rarely affected other people's lives, which
Right,
is good.
right.
It's just mine. Just totally bulldozed mine. But yeah.
Yeah. Luckily, when I drank, I was in college, so I didn't have a vehicle to drive. But
Yeah. I
been a
never
different
wanted to
story.
sleep over. I was like,
Yeah.
I just want to go
home
home
and
or
have
like
your own bed.
part of it was like why I drank. I was just not comfortable in my
Yeah.
skin. So like I was like, I just want to get out of here. And like
Yeah.
the anxiety and like the social awkwardness,
Right.
like, yeah, didn't translate
So-
well to drinking.
Did a police officer see you driving erratically, or what?
Yeah. Right in like mile from my parents'
Oh.
house where I lived. Yeah. I think I was 24. Or maybe I was 23. I was pretty young. I can't remember if it was 23 or 24. Before cancer.
Yeah.
But after Aaron died.
BC.
So like that, yeah. Before before cancer. That's an actual thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yep, I got pulled over, and it was like a friend I went to high school with that pulled me over, a Millbury cop. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And he was like, "All right, we're gonna figure this out." And then a statey drove by
Oh.
and saw us.
and
He's like, "Oh,
he's
do you
like-
need help?" And he's like, "No, I don't."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, bye, I'm going to jail." So, and then the second
Did they lock you
time-
up?
Oh yeah, I went. Yeah.
Who'd you call? Home?
Oh,
Did you call?
my mom.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Oh, my parents are saints.
Right?
What I put them through.
What-
Oh my
same
God.
here. Like,
I
what
don't know
are
how.
they-
I'm like, that is love. That's why I don't have children also, because I'm like, I don't want me as a child.
I don't want passing my genes down to anyone else
Yeah,
either.
no,
Like-
right, exactly. Like I've had cancer, I'm an alcoholic, I'm a drug addict.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. But I have a really good life. Like I somehow
Right.
have like brought it
Gone
together.
through- hey,
You know?
you're inspiration.
Yeah.
You are an
Thank
inspiration,
you,
Kerri.
Dave. I appreciate that. I was going to ask you, why am I on this podcast?
Because you're
I'm
inspiration.
just
You've
kidding.
been through a lot,
I
and you're
have.
still so positive and funny, and
Yeah.
have a great outlook on life, and still always trying to improve yourself and do better. And
Yeah.
talk about your work. Speaking of,
Yeah.
with Broad.
Yeah, with
Yeah.
Broad. So, and then I want to tell the story about how
Sure.
I got sober. because
Yeah,
that's-
okay, yeah.
that's
Well, do you
an
wanna do that
interesting-
first and then
no,
Broad, or-
'cause the
okay.
Broad's actually
Oh,
a big component in
okay.
it. So, I started the Broad in October of 2010. So I've been there for
Almost 13
That's
years.
crazy.
Wow.
I like to stay at places apparently.
Yeah.
But yes, and how I even got into, so I went to school to be a teacher. That's Keene State's huge teaching
Yeah.
school. So, and then I had to be in a communications class with like 100 of my peers. It was my biggest class, and I'd have to get up and
Talk in
communicate.
front of it,
you
yeah.
know? And I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that in front of my peer. No. And it's funny because like now that's like what I do for a job.
Right.
But how I got into like the chemical lab stuff is like Erin having cancer and just knowing like research gets done and like how can I support the research? I can't do the research. I'm not that smart, but I can support it, right? So that's how I got into like health and safety and the lab side of things. So that's what I do there. I love it there. We've grown like it's crazy. So the BRCA gene, which is tied to breast cancer, they had a patent on it. I don't know if you remember this, but this was actually happening when I was going through treatment. So Myriad, this company, tried to patent the BRCA gene. And Eric Lander, the founder of the Broad, fought in the Supreme Court and was like, you can't patent a gene. Like, how are you going to patent someone's body?
That means you could patent a human, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. And so that's why I was like, I need to work there. So
so you heard that story and said, this is where I want to work. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Is that the same guy I emailed and asked? I think I emailed one of your bosses to ask him to give you time off. Do you remember this?
You did?
Yes,
oh my God. Was it to go to cross country?
Yes.
Oh my God. I wish I went with you. You are an inspiration to me. You are like such a freaking
Did I tell you what I'm
advocate.
doing this summer in Ireland? No.
So I heard you talk.
I'm going to Ireland. I'm flying to Dublin, landing in Dublin, and then just hiking around the coast to the other side. That's where Dingle is, and that's where they filmed the new Dingle, this new Star Wars movie they filmed there. So I'm just like walking around till I get to there. But if I meet someone that's like, I'll drive you there, I'll be like, cool.
Okay, please drive
me. Yeah.
Because that last plan, you almost died like 7 times.
Yeah, no, I'm walking this time. I'm not gonna rollerblade.
No rollerblading.
Yeah, so I learn from my mistakes.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Oh, that's awesome.
So anyway, you work back to Broad. Sorry.
Yes, Broad. Yeah. What was I talking about?
Talking about your boss and how he.
So the founder of the Broad, Eric Lander, the now shamed. I don't know if you've heard about that.
No,
oh
what
my
happened?
God, he worked for President Biden. He was in like his I forget what they call it. It's like the
official health cabinet or something.
The PCAS, I think it's called. Okay. That like went away during Trump, of course, because
because he doesn't care.
But Biden like loved him. Biden came to our work. Like 2000. Oh God. 14 or 15,
back when he could still talk and form sentences.
Yeah. Oh,
Sweet.
that poor man.
No,
you know?
right.
But he like had this big like cancer moonshot. We were like supporting his science. Yeah, he's
did he lose a son? He's been through it. Speaking of like persevering, he's been through a lot, right?
Seriously. So Eric Lander took a leave of absence to go work for the president, and like things came out about him possibly bullying women while he was there, but like. There was like a whistleblower. I don't know. You'd have to read up. Yeah. I mean,
he said, she said kind of deal, maybe. Yeah.
I mean, he was very he's very fiery. So if he believes in like something, I don't know. I don't want to women shame or victim shame or whatever. Right. But I'm like,
so maybe he was just being enthusiastic or something. Assertive. And there happened to be a woman there.
I can't imagine him being like, your idea is dumb. Like she said, I'm like, I just can't. I mean, not that I know him. Like,
but some ideas are dumb, and you're allowed to tell people their ideas are dumb, regardless of their gender, right?
That's true, right? Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? I think he like, I think it was like something like he had asked for like some
dumb women who inspire Dave.
That's
I love that
podcast.
Yeah, we should have that be the next one. Dumb women who inspire me. Oh God. But yeah, so I don't know. Who knows? But he's actually coming back to the Broad soon, which is good because.
And you guys were you did a lot with COVID too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What was?
Yeah, my job function.
That was.
I mean, I
you were
went
working crazy out. Explain that. Go tell us the Broad COVID story. Yeah, that was crazy.
Like, and that's why I love this place, right? Like, so I just remember when COVID started, like looking at the Johns Hopkins like dashboard and being like, we have 80 cases in the U.S. and like a week later, we're like, we're closing down. I'm like, holy shit, that escalated quickly. But during that time, we realized we had like these sequencers that can. I mean, they founded the human genome, so we have these sequencers that could sequence COVID. So we're like, why can't we? We can just kind of build labs and run COVID tests. So let's do that. And we ended up like, it was very hard and very busy and long hours, but we like retrofitted like one of our buildings to just run COVID tests during the pandemic. So like all the National Guard stuff, like my sister works for a nursing home that got hit really hard with COVID. They had a lot of people pass away very quickly. And it was just funny that, not funny, haha, but weird that like we're running their COVID tests.
You became the official like testers of a lot of
like basically if you got a COVID test during 2020, it was coming to Broad.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what were your hours like during that time?
Well, during the lab building process, they were like normal, but like I ended up running the on-site COVID testing for our employees, and then my hours like doubled. I went from like being at home to like being at the Broad like 60 hours a week, but I had like they were like long
during the
days.
pandemic.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you're obviously fully masked, fully like what?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hazmat suit? No.
No.
They
So
weren't.
it depended, like on where I was working. So if
Yeah.
I was in the actual like testing, like
Yeah.
we were gowned up and all that stuff. But eventually, like I got to get out of there, and I just kind of made sure it ran smoothly.
Yeah.
But I still had to be there. So yeah. So I worked, but I had weird hours. I worked like every other Wednesday. I had off, so that was good. I would go up to the White Mountains and just hike, and
Yeah.
I had like,
Another amazing accomplishment of yours. How many? What's the? There's a thing, right?
Yeah,
It's
the
50, the 40. What is
48,
it? The 48. Okay.
4,000 footers in New Hampshire.
Yes.
Yeah, I hiked those.
You did that. You did that
Done.
challenge.
Yeah,
Yes.
now I'm
amazing.
on the New England 67.
Nice.
Yeah. But
How
yeah.
many has Andrew done with
He's
you?
done them all.
He's done them all with
yeah.
you? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's awesome.
So I had a goal of doing them all in under a year,
Yeah.
but then COVID and like
Yeah, right.
If I drove up there, people would like be really. They were like, "You have a Massachusetts plate. You're not supposed to be in New Hampshire." I'm like, "Oh my god, I'm outside." Like,
Yeah,
of course
right.
we didn't know what we know now and all that,
right.
but so I finished in like a year and a month.
Jeez.
But I hiked like some crazy, like the first hike that Andrew
Some
and
of
I
your
ever went on-
pictures are awesome. by the
nuts.
way. Oh my god.
The first hike Andrew and I ever went on was the Presidential Traverse, which is like a 20-mile hike. And
God.
So the day before he comes to meet me up there, I'm like, "What was the last mountain you hiked?" He's like, "I don't know, Monadnock." I'm like, "Have you ever hiked a 4,000 footer?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "All right, well, this is going to be interesting." He did it. I don't know. I threw up the whole way up. I don't. Yeah. It was-
Well, I remember that night you called me. I think it was COVID. It was like one of the early COVID days where you're like, I got to hike somewhere. We got to go somewhere. Remember? I met you at UMass. And did we go to Wachusett? Was that
we
where it was?
probably did. Yeah.
You walked it like it was like from here to there. I'm at the top. I was like,
Dave, I forgot about
did it.
that. Oh
Yeah,
my
I
god, you
remember.
poor thing. Yeah, I know. I'm like, I gotta hike. You're like, okay, I guess. Yeah, and that's how Andrew.
but I felt really good after, like the next day. Like,
Yeah.
it makes you feel really good.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. It's
I
like
mean,
what are they? Runners
endorphins
high,
or
endorphins,
yeah.
Thank you. I'm like, what's the?
yeah, the runner's
said
high.
pheromones.
Do you
I'm
get
like, no.
athletes high? Like when you play soccer, did you get that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not so much running. I'm a big
Yeah.
runner now. That started during COVID too. I had nothing else to do, and I'm like, my quiet mind is not
Right.
good for me. Like I need to do something. I need to fill space.
I had one more COVID question about
Yeah.
Broad. What is the general consensus at Broad about how this thing happened? Do we think it was a wet
Ooh.
market? Do we think it was a lab leak? What do we
No, they think it was just a virus
happened and
yeah, they don't think like someone ate a bat or anything like that.
No,
but they
yeah,
think-
right. Well, that was the
you know, we've
first
had
story, right?
coronavirus
That was the
for-
first story, right?
Right.
Coronavirus has been
Yeah.
right, but has never been like this, though.
Right,
which-
right. But that's like how like H1N1, you
Right,
know. I mean,
right. How did any of them get out?
H1N1 was actually like I think that was an accident.
Okay.
I don't know. I
Well,
don't
that's
know.
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
With
yeah.
the lab leak,
Yeah.
couldn't there been an accident? Someone got
It
it
could have
there
been.
and then spread it.
It could have been.
I mean, who knows what really happened, right? We
Right.
never get the real story.
Yeah, right,
Usually
right.
there's some crazy story here. There's some crazy story here, and there's something like it's usually in between.
right.
Like, right? That's
I
usually
know.
what
I mean, honestly,
or
like
a combination
knowing-
of something like
knowing how like we have a BL3 like a biosafety level 3 lab at Broad,
yeah.
but we're very strict.
Right.
Like we have a lot
Right.
of components in
Right.
place for something like
So
that.
who
to
knows
not
how
happen.
strict
but
they are
Other
there.
countries,
Right,
I
right.
mean, who knows?
Well, that's why we do a lot of business in other countries, right? There's less restriction, it costs less, the labor
Yeah.
is less, so that's why we do it. And
yeah.
there
But-
was
yeah.
there was some documentary about outsourcing companies, and some I think Chinese company bought an American company, and they wanted to do A, B, C, and D, and then all the inspectors and whatever said, "Oh, you got to do this, you got to do this," and the guy couldn't understand why. Well, the sprinkler has to be there. Well, I don't want it there. I want it like not even. He didn't understand that he had to enjoy, like, to actually have the company function. You needed to follow these regulations, which is
Let
totally
me tell
different.
you, working
Yeah.
at UMass, I hit a couple of like things like that with some of the researchers from other countries.
Oh
like,
yeah, they're like,
you
what
have to work like there's this nasty chemical. It's a thiol, and it just smells like cat urine. It smells awful, and it's more of a. I mean, it's a toxic chemical, but it's just a nuisance odor. But
Yeah.
like where you have labs outside of offices, like people don't want to smell cat pee, and I'm like,
Really?
you have to work with that in a fume hood. And he's like, in my country, I don't even have fume hoods. I'm like, Well, we do here.
Right,
and, like,
right.
you have to, you
Wow.
know, but like, and we would get odor complaints. I'm like, that one researcher, you know.
Did anything ever happen at Broad, like where you had to lock down or like some sort of leak or some sort of accident? Like that must have.
No,
been-
I
no,
mean,
never, nothing bad.
We had, I mean, honestly, you want to know the scariest thing
Yeah.
was when the marathon
Oh,
shooting,
okay.
that Sean Collier, the officer Collier, was right across the street.
Oh, right. I remember.
see
Right. Yeah.
the
Well, I think when
corner.
I picked you up one time, you're like, oh, by the way, that was right there.
I
yeah.
know. Yeah. Because, like, it just.
Isn't
that
there
whole thing-
memorial? Isn't there a memorial to him?
Yeah.
Like, right. Yeah.
Yeah, right outside a building called the Stata Center.
Right.
And you can see it from the road.
Right,
Like, it's,
right.
like, right across the street. It's crazy. So
Were
that
you
was.
at work that day?
I was.
Wow.
Yeah, I was there. And, you know, it just. That whole thing is so crazy. Like, the 7-Eleven that.
They pulled into.
Yeah,
and-
like I was there earlier the day. Like the bombers like lived 3 streets down from the road.
Oh my god.
So yeah, like that whole. I mean, I was like, I had a police scanner. They closed down the city. They smoked out these
Right.
2 dicks. And
Right.
Yeah, I'll never
One of
forget
them was
that.
in a boat, right, in
Yeah,
Watertown.
yeah. Oh my, that whole thing was nuts. But I was like, because I go to the marathon every year,
Right.
and yeah, the whole thing.
It was funny
nuts.
when that. I remember when that happened, and everyone was like, "There were some, conspiracy theorists saying, well, wow, look at this like government control lockdown." It's like, no, everyone in Boston wanted to catch these motherfuckers,
Right.
and so we said, okay, you're gonna go in. Everyone's gonna go inside so we can catch them.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't a.
Yeah.
Everyone voluntarily did that.
I
to catch them.
remember-
and guess what? It worked.
Running during COVID. And like there was nobody around,
Right.
and that was the only other time I ever saw the city that quiet.
Was when getting the bombers.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that was so crazy.
10 years now, right?
Yeah.
2013.
2013, yeah. Wow, time goes so fast.
Right.
So a weird fun fact. I went to the Olympics in 1996 when they had the centennial.
Atlanta?
Yeah,
There was a
when-
bomber.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a threat there? Or
Yeah.
didn't-
No, they found a bomb.
Oh, they did
And,
find
like,
a bomb.
yeah. So I'm like,
well, they found the wrong guy though, wasn't it? Something like
Richard
that.
Jewell,
Yes,
that
yes,
poor bastard. Yeah. But yeah, and then like the marathon, I'm like, that's weird. 2 people, like one
Right.
person,
Right. Yeah.
you know, 1 person, 2 bombs. That,
Right.
yeah.
That's a video you don't
Yeah.
want to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you go to the Coke Museum in Atlanta? Coca-Cola.
No.
Oh, there's the Coca-Cola Museum in Atlanta, which when I was growing up, Coke was my favorite drink.
I'm a Pepsi girl.
Oh my God,
I know.
Kerri,
I
get
know.
out of here right
I
now!
know. Diet Pepsi, Diet Wild Cherry Pepsi.
So you go to the Coke Museum and they explain the history of Coke and this and that, and they never tell you that. Oh, by the way, cocaine used to be in this drink. That's left out of the tour. But the coolest part is there's a room and it has all the different Coke beverages from around the world that you never drink, and then it's just a fat so you can sample all the
Yeah.
that's cool.
Want to hear of this guy I used to work with at Broad?
Yeah.
Was he worked there and was a tester,
tester, beverage
yeah.
tester.
Yeah.
Oh
he
wow.
said his like teeth hurt. It's like,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Right.
And like they just.
Yes,
it was, like,
please.
Yes, please. You want to go there and work, Mark? Is that what you're saying?
Oh God, no! I can't. Like I swear.
How? Oh, speaking of caffeinated beverages, are you off? Are you off the energy
I
drinks
drink
now?
coffee now.
Okay,
Can you
that's
believe
good.
it?
That's good. But
I
you're not.
hated
You're not
coffee.
drinking the. What was the energy drink you loved? The
Oh my
5 or
God.
something. What was
Oh,
it?
I would drink 2 5-hours a day.
5.
And then I would have the Blue Rockstar
The
energy.
Rockstar, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yep.
But you're not doing those.
No.
That's good.
Yeah, I quit in
That's good.
2019. I
Oh,
think.
nice.
Yeah.
Good. That's good.
Yeah. Psychosomatic.
But you have like one coffee in the morning, or just coffee drinking?
Yeah,
generally?
usually one or 2 coffees in the
Okay.
morning. But yeah, you like after.
But
like,
you got to the point where those rock stars weren't
no,
even
I was
waking
just,
you
like,
up.
10
You were
of them.
just
people would think that I would. So I got sober eventually.
Yes.
And then I would I would still go and hang out with people periodically at the bar, and I would just drink Red Bulls, like 7, 8, 9, 10 Red Bulls.
Wow.
Until like 1 a.m, and they're like, "You're never gonna sleep." I'm like,
But you
"Watch
would,
me."
but you
yeah,
would,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It's
When was the last? Speaking of, when was the last time you had an alcoholic beverage? It's been a long time.
September 13th, 2014.
Whoa! Wow!
I'm almost at my 10
Congratulations.
years.
Wow,
Crazy.
that's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, there was a
Yes.
whole slew of arrests and things that happened that got me there, but ultimately it was like I got in trouble. I was dating do you remember when I was dating that jerk from Millbury?
It's probably right when I met you.
Yeah. He was so bad, but I got arrested twice within a very short amount of time, and I had to have a home breathalyzer machine. And every morning at 7 a.m. and every night at 7 p.m., I had to say red, white, and blue into this machine and do a breathalyzer test. So that was a sobering. I had to do that so I wouldn't go to jail. So I was like, I'm going to lose my job. So whatever we can do to like not help me.
Right.
I mean, I've worked here for a while and want to keep the job. So they did that, and then.
So they knew you were going through that. Like did your job know?
No.
Oh, they didn't.
No,
know.
I mean, probably not. No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I still work there.
Yeah.
But they also like loved me and like, no,
Yeah.
I'm a
You're
good
doing your
person.
job, yeah.
I just had there's a lot of
But that was
mental health.
That was the tipping point.
Yeah,
For you,
that was it.
alcohol wise, and that was it.
I mean, I knew I had to stop for a
Yeah.
long time, so
Right.
that was just the catalyst that yeah.
And did you immediately notice that your life get better when you stopped, or did it take a while?
It took a while for me.
Did you have to shed some people that you
I
should
just
have had
shed
in your life?
and other bad habits
Yeah,
as well.
right?
Yeah, and people, and
Yeah.
I had to change all the nouns, as I say, people, places, and things. I had to change all of it.
Yeah.
So I like lived on my parents' couch for
Okay.
a solid couple years, and eventually, it got better.
And then you surround yourself with the right people, and here you are.
Here we are. Yeah.
Well, Kerri, our hour is just about up, so
Okay.
I think it's a good stopping point. Thank you so much for coming
Of
on.
course.
I love talking to you. I love you as a person.
I know.
You have awesome stories, and I hope you come back sometime.
I will.
All
Yeah,
right.
I can finish the second half.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a good day.